number one. Caveat number one. Solo and randoms. Caveat number two, you are a spawn leaving enthusiast. Okay? You actually enjoy playing the video game, pushing, trying to get high game impact, trying to make plays. Okay? Number three, we're going to assume you have like 4 fingers per hand, right? So, like, if a boat is hard to play, that doesn't make it bad, right? It just means it's hard to play. All right. So, I would say Harugumo is the perfect definition of a solid gunboat. It's solid. It's got amazing DPM. It handles like a brick. It's awkward to play. It gobbles torps. It dies to the new breed of gunboats, but it's very solid. Like, I mean, if you can't get damage in Harugumo, like, something is very wrong, right? I would say Hayate is also just all around solid. I mean, it's a Shima with better guns and worse detect. If you guys were here, we went over this math once, and Hayate actually, in a 10-minute game, puts out more torpedoes than Shima with the Torp reload booster. So it takes a game. A game has to last for something like 14 and a half minutes in order for Shima to outpace Hayate's Torp DPM. So Hayate is not a gunboat with solid torps. Hayate is a Shima with good guns and bad concealment. Like, you should absolutely build it for torps, because that is kind of the whole point of the boat, is in a 10-minute or less duration game, you put out more torps, and then in like a super long game, Shima finally puts out more torps. But that's obviously assuming you're spamming torpedoes on cooldown, which you never are, right? I would say Shima's still solid. I mean, we played it for like, what, 4 hours last week? Won like 15 games in a row. It still has a lot of like game impact. It's just super frustrating to play. What would you think about them buffing Shima by giving up Barfleur Kitakami one launcher at a time? I think that would make it insanely broken, personally, random guy. If Shima had a... Imagine if Shima Kaze... So what he's asking is if Shima had the Barfleur or Kitakami style torp reload. So rather than... if you dump 3 sets of torps, you take 2 minutes to get 3 sets of torps back. You would get 1 rack of torps every 40 seconds. I actually think the boat would be like pure AIDS to play against. But I mean, Shima is solid. Like, I would put it a bit below gunboats, because I just think gunboats always are going to have a bit more game impact. But like, Shima's very solid. I mean, it is still like a top 3 DD torp threat at its tier, right? It's still definitely a solid ship. Again, solo in randoms, I think Sherman is probably like a bit better than Harugumo, but see, if you're in a division, like if Sherman is divved with a Shima, Sherman is like just straight up overpowered, right? Straight up overpowered. But played solo in randoms, you can't spot for yourself, right? You give your team no spotting, you give your team no torpedo threat, you can't catch destroyers. Like, you can catch idiots, but like even Harugumo is... I'm not saying Harugumo's got the best torps in the game, but Harugumo torps are insane. Like, if you are trying to rush a Harugumo in your battleship, you're dead to torps, like, every time, right? You get 6 Shima torps per launch. But yeah, I would say, in a div, it's very good, but played solo in randoms, it's kind of okay. It's solid, right? Laffy, I need another tier. I need another tier below D. This boat is diabolically bad, dude. This boat is diabolically fucking ass. It is the only destroyer in all of tier 10 that does not have any game impact beyond 8 kilometers. A ton of game impact out to 15 km with guns. Tons of game impact out to 15 km with guns. Tons of game impact out to 12 with guns and torps. Tons of game impact out to 12 with torps. The torps impact the game at 8. The guns impact the game at 8. Full stop. Laffy is just a fucking trash-ass boat. Get it? Oh my god, dude. I fucking hate it. I actually fucking hate this boat. Daddy-O alone has spent like 100,000 channel points forcing me to play this fucking trash boat. It's diabolically trash, dude. There's no DD in all of tier 10 that cannot impact the game outside of 8 km. There's no destroyer. Destroyers either have 6 to 8 km torps, but unbelievable gun power at long range, or they have unbelievably good torps at long range and mediocre guns. And this thing just gets... Oh my god. Alright. Gearing, I would say, is probably solid. Honestly, it's probably a bit over Shima. Well, again, though, played solo. Right? Remember, you're playing solo. Gearing in a div... Listen. Gearing in a div with a radar cruiser, I would be tempted to put it into strong. But again, played solo. The smoke is only... The great smoke only matters for your team. So if you're playing solo, it doesn't really help you. Shima's just a lot faster and harder to hit. Gearing arguably has the better torps than Shima. I think you could make a strong case. Here's your very first bad American premium. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day too. Gearing arguably has better torpedoes than Shima. But if your goal is to perform the stealth torp boat role, like Swift and Silent Shima goes like what with speed boost? You go like 46 knots or something. What does Shima go with Swift and Silence and speed boost up? It's insanely fast. So like if your goal is to play a stealth torp boat, to me I'd rather play Shima personally. But in a div, gearing is like absolutely very, very, very relevant, very good still. And then I would say Summers is probably better than all of these, right? Is that a hot take? I feel like that's pretty... Maybe 40. Yeah, because I think it goes like 41.4 knots, but then Swift and Silence is 10. Yeah, it's 40. Yeah, it's like 44 or 45 knots without the speed boost, I think, on Shima, if I'm not mistaken. We could actually pull up the video game, I suppose, right? But Shima's quite fast. Do I have a captain? I don't. So this is no captain. Maneuverability. Yeah, 41 knots. So Swift and Silence gives you 44 knots of speed, and then Speed Boost gives you another 8%. So yeah, you do go like 48 knots. You're super fast. So you just have a lot more... You're a lot better at like relocating in Shima and getting the torp angles. But Gearing does arguably have... But I would say Summers is just kind of like the better version of both of these, in my opinion. Yeah, Shima used to be by far the fastest DD, didn't it? Hull is definitely at least strong. Is Hull overpowered played solo? See, I don't consider overpowered and unfair or toxic the same things, right? If you are in a battleship and Hull is farming you, it's never going to kill you, but you're also never going to kill it. So all it does is bring insane amounts of toxicity into the game. But is it overpowered solo? Like, I would say in a div, it's really aids. Like, if you're playing a cruiser into, like, a Hull Shima div, that is, like, some Giga aids, obviously. But I'm not really sure if it's overpowered. It's very toxic. Arguably one of, like, the 2 or 3 most toxic DDs in the game. I'm not quite sure if it's over. Maybe we'll, like, scoot things up at the end. We'll leave it there for now. Bunch of cruisers... Delny is mid. I honestly don't even think Delny is trash. Legitimately. Delny is not trash. Delny is just kind of mid. It's got decent torps, decent guns, great survivability. It just doesn't do any one thing very well. Also in a div, Delny is like legitimately strong. Smoke Delny is the best smoke bot in the game. But we'll leave it in mid. It's just kind of mid. Like most gunboats are overall better. Delny is kind of gimped. They really gimped Delny in order to give it better. They gave it better concealment, maneuverability, and torps than Kaba, but then they like heavily gimped its farming impact. So, I don't know. I'll say it's mid. I would say Grows is solid. Buffed Grows is very solid. I would rather play that over Haru, probably. Solid torp, solid guns, amazing range and effective DPM. Yeah, Delny Smoke is the best smoke bot in the game for multiple reasons. Number one, you have the second most amount of total smoke you can lay after Ledge Mod YY. Number two, it's the best because unlike Ledge Mod YY, the smokes last a bit longer. But also the most crucial part of Delny Smoke Bat is you lay the smoke while going 49 knots. That's kind of the secret sauce. So you have like 40 seconds of smoke action time with a smoke build, but you lay it 8 knots faster than gearing, right? So you're going like 20% faster than gearing while laying down the same size wall of smoke. It's actually kind of wicked. So like in a div, I'd put it up into solid probably, but again, solo and randoms, right? Solo in randoms. Um, yeah, I mean, Grozaway is a solid ship. It's not great at anything. To me, it's kind of a daring for bads, but it's still good. Um, Khabarovsk. It's Khabarovsk mid. Definitely, I would rather play Kaba than Delny. Overall, I would still rather play Kaba, but it's pretty mid. Also like you say, random. Unlike Gearing Smokebot, Delny Smokebot can actually get damage, right? It can use the guns, and Smokebot Delny has a bunch of HP, the armor, and the speed. You can absolutely open water gunboat with no heal Delny, right? Honestly, I mean, I would rather play Kaba than Delny because it's more fun. But like Delny is probably realistically a more useful ship for your team. It probably is. Like legitimately a more useful ship for your team to have. Um okay, these are all cruisers and shit. Elbing. Elbing solo in randoms. Is it strong or is it just solid? It's better than Hull if you're actually a good player. But it's harder to play, right? So like is Elbing harder enough to play than Hull to justify Hull being above it? Elbing is better against like Hull's specialty is farming BBs and cruisers, but Elbing is just kind of inarguably better at that. Like Elbing does more damage to flat ships because you hit 6 out of 6 shells. It arguably does more damage to bow-in ships because you can pen the U.S. ships and you hit 6 out of 6 shells. Hmm. Yeah, like Hull just doesn't require a brain or hands to play, but like it has. Elbing is a very solid torpedo threat. The torps have good damage. You send out. Elbing actually has some of the highest torpedo DPM in the game. They're slow, but you have great range on the torps. Great alpha strike per torp rack. Um, I'll put it like in the bottom of strong, and then maybe we'll like kick it down. Well, we'll put it in the top of solid. I mean, Elbing is super fun. Okay, number one, Elbing is 100 times more fun and satisfying to play than Hull, but it does like legitimately have more game impact a lot of the time. Elbing torps are slept on, literally slept on because you fall asleep waiting for the torps to hit you. You think you're safe, and then you turn out and die to them. Z52 is probably mid, but probably like near the top of mid. Um, I mean, obviously Z42 is just the same boat but twice as good. It's not trash though. I mean, Z52 still has game impact, right? Like 6 km 2 minute hydro is crazy amounts of game impact. The biggest problem with Z52 is there's so many other destroyers that have vision and also double its DPM, right? Like if you're in Z52 and you run into Sherman, like you're just cooked. Because all the Sherman does is sail in a straight line at you for 10 seconds. In that 10 seconds, you do like 7,000 HE damage to it, and then it opens up with sap and it has 2.5 times your DPM, and you're cooked. But yeah, I mean, it's probably like near the bottom of Sol. It's probably like a B C tier kind of thing. Um, Z42, thoroughly in the overpowered category. Does it go all the way into Nightmare Fuel Hellboat? Well, I think we'll leave it. We'll leave it. We'll leave it in S for now. One of the absolute best destroyers in the entire game in randoms. The boat is insane. You can smoke Hydro Trap 3 times per Hydro. You farm 80% as well as Daring. You fight destroyers better than basically any DD in the game. Like, you probably have the highest game impact when, again, remember what are the caveats, guys? You enjoy game impact, you enjoy playing aggressive, and you don't care, like, right? You're an aggressive player who prioritizes game impact, meaningful playmaking. Z is at the very top. The ship is, like, there's no destroyer in the game where you run into Z and you're not shitting your pants. Even other overpowered boats that maybe have better DPM, you're still like, God fucking damn it, it's a Z42 on my flank. Like, yeah. Maybe we'll reword this. Okay, how about this? Strong. Good. Decent. Mid. There we go. I feel like that flows a bit better. Strong, good, decent, mid, trash, something like that. Maybe we'll rework them again. Not that I ever change my mind. Hoffman is definitely at minimum good. Now, again, this is trying to rule out my bias. I hate Hoffman. To me, Hoffman is just a vegan version of Elbing with a Hydro that doesn't actually let you hunt DDs, but just keeps you safe from Torp so you can bot out in your smoke. To me, I mean, basically Hoffman is a mix of Elbing and Z52. And you know how I feel about compromised boats. It's a very good ship, though. Very good. It's very, very good. Like, it probably... I think the sad reality is it probably... Yeah, Daddy-O, I think the sad reality is if we were basing this on how much I enjoy them and how fun they are, right? Elbing's way up there. But Hoffman is probably just overall, yes, actually better than Elbing. Like, I hate playing it. It sucks to play. I hate it. But let's be honest, like, just mindlessly HE spamming. Also, Hoffman has, like, some of the best torpedo output in the game. You have, like, 80-second reload on 12-kilometer torps. It just has, like, a lot of... It has a lot of consistency, right? Because you don't hit torps in your smoke. Unlike Elbing torps hit harder, go farther. But Hoffman torps reload faster, are faster. You have them more often. Like, it is a very good ship. Just because I hate a boat doesn't make it bad, right? I think we'll leave it in good for now. I mean, yeah, like, Elbing is a specialist, right? Elbing is, like, an open water AP specialist. Hoffman is, like, a traditional hybrid with a lot more survivability than most due to the Hydro, right? It's a good ship. I hate it, but it's a good ship. Daring is S. Minimum S. It's still one of the absolute best destroyers in the game. For me, Z42 is slightly better. Now, this is where a bit of preference comes in. Most people will probably think this, because Daring is a lot easier to play. Daring is a lot more forgiving, a lot easier to play. It prioritizes farming over contesting destroyers, so it's more comfortable. Like, in Z42, you feel like you're griefing to not hunt destroyers. Spoiler alert, you are griefing to not hunt destroyers, but that brings inherently more risk, right? It doesn't get a heal. You have to have a brain, because, like, Daring, a lot of people will make a really big deal in Daring and Vamp 2 about shooting AP over HE. Now, you should, right? If a DD's flat to you, by all means, load the AP, because it is like a 15% DPM boost. But, like, Z42, you have to min-max the HE versus AP. So it takes more of a brain to play, for sure. Oh, Hoffman is absolutely way better than Z52. Oh yeah, Hoffman's way better. Here's a really funny fact, random guy. Ledgemod Z52 versus Torpedo Spec Hoffman. Hoffman has more health, better torps on the same reload, and better guns. Like, because with Ledgemod on Z52, they have the same concealment. They have the same torps, but Hoffman torps go 1.5 kilometers farther. And then because you're not building either for guns, Hoffman ends up with having better guns. It's a disaster. But yeah, Daring is easily strong. Still one of the best deities in randoms for sure. Yeah, it's a disaster is what it is. Druid, again, solo in randoms, mid. Probably better than these, because these guys don't really have any ability to kill deities. At least Druid, right? Okay. I say things like Druid can't find and kill destroyers, but let's be honest, there's a lot of incredibly dogshit destroyer players in this game that will get caught by Druid. They will get caught by a 36 knot destroyer with 660 detect. Now, again, if you were in a division in Druid and a radar Yuyang, as has been known to happen, is in your div, you are the raid boss of random battles. Like, when Danny plays Yuyang and I play Druid, it is like a 90 win rate situation that develops. Like, legitimately, it is a 9-0 win rate situation when this ship is with a stealthy DD. Because every single DD in the video game that runs into a Druid that has DD spotting for it is fucking cooked. But, solo and randoms, not very good in my opinion. Kind of griefs your team. Too many ships can just completely disrespect you. Like, any cruiser or BB that has anywhere near decent HP can just run you over. There's nothing you can do. Oh, we've got nothing but cruisers. Marceau, very much in the top of S tier. Well, maybe we'll like save the top tier for at the end, maybe. Marceau is in just straight up overpowered. Again, requiring hands to aim in Marceau does not make it balanced. Watching Gangplay Kaba, the enemy Shima willingly walked towards him and yeah, there you go. I mean, like, it happens, bro. Right? It happens. And Druid is like one thing that Druid, maybe we'll put it in the bottom of decent. How about that? Because one thing Druid does have going for it is a lot of these really shitty D-Tech gunboats like Sherman, right? Sherman, Delny, Khabarovsk, Marceau, Hoffman, Elbing, Hull. Those boats are unplayable into Druid, right? Because Druid effectively has the same or better D-Tech than them, and Druid has effectively double their damage output. So, Druid is a bizarre, very hard counter to gunboats. In particular, it's an insanely hard counter to armored gunboats. And so if you're in a lobby where, like, the enemy team has Marceau, Elbing or something, like, you are feasting on those guys. But, I mean, Marceau is, like, insanely overpowered. It's one of the most survivable destroyers in the game. It has, like, basically, top 5 DPM of any DD in the game. The torps are actually wicked. It's like a 2-minute reload on 12 torps that go 9 km with okay speed and damage. Like, it's a wicked boat. It's just straight up overpowered is what it is. Kleber. I would say good. I don't know if I can really justify Kleber as being strong because, like, I mean, think about Hull, right? Like, what is Kleber doing that Hull isn't doing? YOLO torping. Kleber is, like, very good at YOLO rushing things that are on, like, say, low HP. Like, a half-health battleship or most full-health cruisers can get YOLO rushed and die to 6 Kleb torps. It's definitely a good ship. I don't really think I'm putting it in S because at the end of the day, like, it is an AFK griefer boat. To me, AFK griefer boats just... Like, Kleb only kills DDs that suck ass, right? So, okay, I should have added a third caveat, right? Caveat 1, or I should have added a fourth. Caveat 1 was that you're playing solo in randoms. Caveat 2 was that you're at least competent at the game. Skill isn't a mitigating factor in whether the boat is good or not. Number 3 is you enjoy playing aggressive. Number 4 should probably be your boat doesn't rely on the enemy being bad. How about that? That's the 4th caveat. Your ship doesn't need the enemy to suck in order to succeed. And Kleb kind of does. Like, it farms BBs pretty well. It farms cruisers okay. And then it requires every DD on red team to be a lobotomized retard or it can't kill them, right? But I mean, it's definitely a good ship. Definitely good. Okay, we're down here. Cassard. I hate Cassard. Enjoyment, for me, it's trash. Realistically, the boat is not trash. I despise everything about its playstyle. I despise how the Torps launch. I despise how it's like actually slow as fuck a lot of the game. I'd say it's decent though. Like, I'm trying to think, if I'm playing a torpedo focused boat with solid guns, I would in fact play Hayate over Cassard personally. Like, that's probably a hot take. I legitimately think Hayate is a better torpedo-focused hybrid. The biggest issue that I have with Cassard is that it's very, very hard to catch people with lots of torp. Like, if you're in a unicorn situation in Cassard and the enemy team is like 7-8 kilometers away, it's like it's the nightmare fuel hellboat. But like in the average situation where you're torping people at like 9 to 13 kilometers, the problem is it's effectively like sending out one rack of gearing torps every 10 seconds. And then we reload and you send one rack and then one more rack. And like, the fact that nobody voluntarily torps like that who has a brain should kind of tell you that having that torp scheme is not the best. But it's got solid guns, French saturation, so it's quite survivable. It's kind of slow. It's pretty slow without the speed boost up though, which I'm not a fan of. Yeah, if I'm gonna play a torp focused if I'm gonna play a hybrid with good torp, like, I mean, honestly, dude, I legitimately just rather have Grozavoy torps over Cassard torps. Just let me send out 10 in a rack, you know what I mean? Probably not, but Hayate torps over Cassard torps, yeah, 100%. And Hayate has like similar gun power, and then it doesn't have Cassard's French saturation, but it does have a smoke, right? So I kind of view those ships like the same. I think of them in the same kind of way. One has smoke, one doesn't. Okay. Regolo. Minimum strong. Absolutely very strong. I mean, personally, if I'm going to let my own personal bias take over, I'm probably putting it there. Like, no DD can fight at 1v1 without help. It's got wicked torps on Regolo. In case, for some fucking reason, there are still people out there unknowing about Regolo torpedo tech. 1 kilometer detection. It's like a 6.5 second reaction time. The reaction time on gun spec Regolo is less than on Torp spec Holland. Decent flooding, decent alpha, great range. The Torps on Regolo are wicked. Absolutely wicked. What else we got here? Barbiano. Is Barbiano just kind of decent? It has 0 game impact, right? It has legitimately 0 game impact of any kind. It's a griefer ship. It's an AFK griefer ship, but it's really fun. It's really funny. Let's be honest. Well, first of all, it's 14k alpha, which is like 2.5. It has 15% below average alpha strike. 20% below average for Tier 10 alpha strike. It has a 90-second torpedo reload. the stealthiest torpedoes in the game that aren't deep waters, aside from Kaba, and those don't count for obvious reasons. Like, Regolo has the stealthiest long-range torps in the game outside of deep waters, with good flood chance, excellent range, excellent reload. Like, the torps on Regolo are extremely good. Two Barbianos. Yeah, but again, right? This is solo in randoms, Metium. Barbiano, again, in that Barbiano div with like a Smalland, nightmare fuel hellboat, 100%. Barbiano played completely solo? Nah. Nope. Every ship is good on a div. Yeah, but not like really not in that way, right? Like Shima in a division, okay? Let's say you're in with Shima. Let's say you're in a Shima and you're divved with a battleship. Your Shima just got a lot better because it can keep cruisers off you. But let's say you're in a Druid, okay? If you're in a Druid and you div with a Montana, your Druid still fucking sucks solo. Like, your Druid does not get stronger played solo because a Montana is camping 10 km behind you. Your Shima does, because if that cruiser tries to radar and punish you, maybe your battleship teammate helps you, right? Regolo's 14k Torp Alpha isn't that bad. I mean, Grozovoy is 16, right? Daring is 16.7. Marcus is like 14 something. Hoffman is like 14.4 or whatever, right? Elbing is like 16.5, right? Summers, Gearing are like 18, right? Delny is like 14.5. This is like 14. Yeah, it's a bit below. Yeah, it is. It's like 15% below average. But 90-second reload, 0 reaction time, 13.5 km range. Like, all of the other features are way better than average, right? Like, Regolo Torps are way better than Groz Torps. No comparison. They're just way better. Way better reload, way better stealth. And, like, they hit for what? 2,000 less damage? Like, who cares, right? You're not in a gunboat. The point of your torpedoes in a gunboat is not to dev strike ships. The point of your torpedoes in a gunboat is to get consistent hits over time that cause floodings. That is the point of torps on a gunboat. And secondarily, to prevent you from getting run over by a BB or cruiser who just says, fuck it, I'm killing this guy, right? So that's why, like, to me, Druid, Barbiano are very problematic, because if a BB just says, fuck it, I'm killing this idiot, nothing you can do about it. Okay. We're down here. Lucian is good. Definitely good. It is an AFK griefer boat, but it has insanely good torpedoes. Better torps than Chung Mu, but no reload booster. You know, they're Yuyang torps that go 11 instead of 13.5. Lucian is definitely good. It's an AFK griefer, solid damage at range, very insanely survivable, excellent torps, excellent hydro. It's definitely good. Yuyang is easily in the top of good. Is Yuyang... Yeah, Yuyang is strong, for sure. 100%. Radar Yuyang is one of the highest game impact destroyers in the game. Radar Yuyang is a very funny ship because Radar Yuyang, number one, has the best torpedoes in the video game, full stop, against cruisers and battleships. There is in tier 10, right? Obviously, Kunming has better torps. In tiers 1 through 10, no ship in the video game has torps that are scarier to cruisers and battleships than Yuyang torps. They're gearing torps with 0 reaction time. You get a TRB. You can torp through destroyer teammates, which is a super underrated ability, by the way. Being able to torp through a teammate is kind of wicked. There's so many times I'm playing with Danny and he torps through my ship to dev strike something. It's pretty wicked. It's definitely strong. It's not going to be as consistent as a daring, so we'll probably put it like a bit below daring. I mean, Danny's putting it up here. I will tell you this: if you are in a battleship without hydro, it is here. If you are in a battleship or a cruiser that does not have hydro, Yuyang is the most horrific ship in the video game to be on the enemy team. Nothing compares to this thing being on your flank if you're in a hydroless BB or cruiser. You're just fucking cooked. And the biggest problem with Yuyang torps is they only have 1 kilometer. They only have like a 0.8 kilometer detect, something like that. Right? I think it's 0.8. 0.8. So now remember, ships in this game are double size, right? So a destroyer that's supposed to be 100 meters long is actually 200 meters long. So if these torps sail like 2-3 ship lengths away from your Shima, guess what, buddy? Your Shimakaze did not spot those Yuyang torps for you. You have no way of, like, your teammates have to be sailing on top of Yuyang torps to screen them for you. It's diabolical if you're in a BB without hydro and this thing is torping you. But also, you have the best destroyer radar in the game. You have Smalland radar that lasts for like 20% longer base. It's actually wicked. Definitely a strong destroyer. People are 100% sleeping on Yuyang. Also, Yuyang is uniquely affected by the current rework to module damage, guys. In case you guys aren't aware, they're reworking modules, so you now do not permanently lose guns and torps. The way it works now on the test server is when your torpedoes get quote unquote destroyed, they are knocked out for 45 seconds, and then they auto repair at half their normal HP, and they stay at half their normal HP. So the biggest problem that Yuyang has, the biggest issue that Yuyang has that keeps it from being all the way up here, is the torpedoes always get destroyed. And that will no longer happen as of, I think, next update. So Yuyang is about to get the biggest buff of like any ship in the game. Yuyang and Druid. Also, I should mention that Druid turrets won't get perma-knocked either. You'll still get them griefed, but they won't be perma-knocked. So Yuyang and Druid are probably the two DDs that will benefit by far the most from the module rework. Something to think about. Let's see, we've gone through these. Gdansk. Very much up there with strong, for sure. A well-played Z42 definitely has like more game impact, but Gdansk is like a lot better against like stalling a push, I would say. And it can open water farm really well. We'll leave it there for now. Smalland is easily like up in the top of S tier. Now, this might be a hot take, but I think Z42 solo is better than Smalland. Smalland's main asset is it doesn't take any skill to play. It's like, it's very immune to mistakes. Smalland is one of those ships that lives and dies by its consumables. Like, if Wargaming took the heal or the radar or the speed boost off of Smalland tomorrow, it would immediately like drop an entire tier in power level, because it's the combination of those 4 consumables that make it overpowered. We're not going to put anything in all the way up there for now. We'll leave it there for now. But it's definitely like top 2 or 3 DDs probably in the game in randoms. Holland. Trash. Alright, boys, are you ready for this? I want you to hold on to your butts. I am probably the biggest hater in this community of Smalland, or of Holland. I said what I said. I said what I said. Any day of the week, I would rather be in Holland than Laffy. You know why? Because Holland can impact the video game more than 8 kilometers away from itself. And Holland has excellent AA, so if you're in a dog CV game, you actually shoot some planes down. I said it. I said it, boys. Holland over Laffy, 100%. 100%. Holland has better guns overall because they're slightly better shell arcs. Better AP. Infinitely better torps. Overall more survivable because you don't get caught in your smoke. Fuck Laffy, bro. Literally fuck this boat. We might make another tier for Laffy. We might do it. Ragnar is, this might be blasphemy, but I'm going to put it in good behind Hull. I think the unfortunate reality is that Hull is better in the farming role than Ragnar, objectively better. It is objectively more survivable than Ragnar. It has usable-ish torpedoes. And the sad reality is, I think Ragnar's radar in, 7 out of 10 lobbies is basically cope and doesn't even help you. Ragnar is 90% farming, 10% DD hunting, right? And the reality is, if you actually want to DD hunt, you could just play concealment spec Hull. You could play 6-4 detect Hull. And you'll catch, Shimas. With the speed boost up, Hull goes, 43 knots? You'll catch them. Not as instantly as Ragnar, but also Hull just has way more game impact because Hull can Citadel most heavy cruisers at long range. Hull actually Citadels a lot of battleships in the 2 to 4 kilometer range. Low tier ships on Holland line have good AA? Yes, they do. The tier 8 and 9 do at least. I just don't think I can say Ragnar is strong because there's too many games in Ragnar where you can't make a difference. You're in your Ragnar, you pushed in, you radared a Shima, you killed the Shima, you lost 20,000 health, and so with your heals you got back up to 25k HP, and now that's your max HP pool, and you have 2 speed boosts and no heals remaining. And the enemy team has BBs that actually took fire prevention, and they have Russian cruisers. Your game's over. You can't play the game anymore in Ragnar. The problem, Ragnar is way too dependent on the matchmaker for my liking. You need the BBs to have no fire prevention. You need the cruisers to not have railguns. You need the cruisers to have 30 mil or worse decks. You need the destroyer. Ragnar into Z42, unplayable. Unplayable into Regolo. Playable but frustrating into Daring. Frustrating into Hull. Frustrating into Hoffman. Frustrating into Lucian. Frustrating into Elbing, unplayable into Sherman, unplayable into Druid and Barbiano, frustrating into Kaba and Delny. There's so many destroyers in this game where they might not have the impact on other destroyers that Ragnar does, but their impact on Ragnar is crazy because they either have railguns, so they ignore Ragnar's speed. They have crazy DPM that ignores Ragnar's improved accuracy benefit, or Druid, Sherman, these SAP DDs, AP DDs, they just ignore the armor. The armor doesn't matter anymore. And honestly, just good players, fuck you. I mean, if you're in a Ragnar and you run into a Marceau player who hits the 2 key, just in the time you turn out in Ragnar, you might have just taken 10k AP damage, you might have gotten 2 shot for 10k by a Marcus who knows what ammo to use, right? Ragnar really, again, why I don't quite put it in strong is, number one, it needs the enemy players to be bad. The BBs didn't run fire prevention, right? The 30 mil plated cruisers overextended. It needs bad enemy play. The destroyers don't load the right ammo, right? It requires the enemy to be bad to really be powerful. And I'm not... Yeah, I mean, overall, Ragnar is better than Elbing, probably. I mean, you have great AA, too. Do I like Ragnar as much as Elbing? No, I'd rather play Elbing. But I do think, for most people, you're probably going to have a more consistent, better performance in Ragnar than in Elbing. I that's my theory at least. Um, Tromp is minimum strong. Where would I put Tromp up here? Probably like Tromp effectively has basically Tromp has Ragnar guns without the improved dispersion. So you have Ragnar guns that are slightly less accurate. You have actually fairly decent torpedo power. You get 3 torps per side with like a 70-second reload, and they hit for 15k, and they're decently fast. And then basically what Tromp is it's basically when a Tromp is kiting you in your battleship or your cruiser, it's like a Shima is torping you every 50 seconds, but always hitting 1 torp. That's like Tromp is basically the play style of a AFK farmer like Hull, Ragnar, Elbing, Sherman. It can AFK farm as well as these ships. Now it's not as survivable while doing it, right? Because it's slow and it doesn't have a heal or improved saturation mechanics. But when it comes to the raw damage output, Trump gun output at range is up there with these ships, and it can play the stealth torp boat role, but just with like way better consistency. Because a good Tromp airstrike is like 5 to 10k in a fire, which is kind of like taking one DD torp. But it's just that it can't really miss you, right? Like if you're in a Montana, Tromp is never going to miss one airdrop on you. Like every 50 seconds, you are taking a Tromp airstrike, and it will light you on fire if the DCP is down. It's insanely AIDS. Like it's honestly one of the most griefing DDs in the game to push into, because if you are pushing into a Tromp, it's going to torp you with the left side every 70 seconds. It's going to torp you with the right side every 70 seconds. And it's going to airstrike you every 50 seconds. So, like, you're pushing in your Montana, and 3 Tromp torps go past you. And then 20 seconds later, an airstrike hits you. And then 20 seconds later, 3 Tromp torps go past you. And then 20 seconds later, another airstrike hits you. And then it just never ends, bro. It feels like it's interminable. Because it is. Pushing into this thing in a BB or a cruiser, it's an interminable fucking shit fiesta of torps and airstrikes. And then if the Tromp is on good HP and its speed boost is up, it has no problem like farming your Montana at 12 kilometers and dodging almost all your shells. Like, Tromp is a custom battleship griefer, and I love it. Like, it griefs cruisers a little bit with the guns, but not as much as Ragnar, because Ragnar goes faster for a bit longer. Same with Hull. These ships have heals, right? So Tromp doesn't. It does grief ships like Des Moines Bowen because of the 30 mil HE pen, but when you hit it, the damage matters, and it's very, very easy to hit when it doesn't have the speed boost up, especially if you're on airstrike mod. If you're on airstrike mod over prop mod, which on Tromp is like, it's hard to justify taking prop mod. It's very easy to hit, so it's not as griefing for cruisers. But yeah, this thing with the speed boost up, farming your BB, it's every bit as bad as Ragnar. But then also it's sending 6 torps and an airstrike every minute. Yeah, it's just giga AIDS to play into a good Tromp. Vampire 2 is way up there in strong. Vamp 2 is one of my favorite DDs in the game, for sure. Saw people saying to Tromp players to get cancer. Well, they are cancer. Is Vamp 2 better than Gdansk? If you know what you're doing, yes. I think so. Vamp 2 is insanely good. For me, it's better than Daring. Daring's easier to play. Daring is more forgiving for mistakes. It's a more consistent experience, possibly. But Vamp 2 has like borderline best in class DPM and fire starting in tier 10. really good torps. Vamp 2 torps are crazy slept on. It's like a 90-second reload, but the torps hit for like 20,000 a pop and go 12 km. You get 5 torps that go 12 km, but they reload in like 90 seconds. So you don't send out like a wall of torps, but you can also single launch them, obviously. They go 12, they hit like a fucking truck. And then 5 km hydro, British acceleration, 8 minutes of smoke per game if you build for it. You get the speed boost too. Vamp 2 with the speed boost up is like basically impossible to hit. You can actually open water in Vampire 2 against battleships very effectively because with the speed boost up, I mean, you have British acceleration and a speed boost, so you just like you go from like 12 to 30 knots in like 2 seconds. You just tool along at quarter half speed, you get shot at, and you just rocket ship away. It doesn't have a heal, so it's a bit less forgiving of mistakes, right? That's kind of the benefit of daring, is it's more forgiving if you make a mistake. Same thing with Smalland. Smalland is just probably the least skill required destroyer in the game to play. And that's kind of why it's like so high up there. Like again, if you took the heal or the DC or the speed boost or the radar off of Smalland, it would just plummet. But it's a brainless ship. It's probably overall better than Vamp 2. Now, again, like if this is enjoyment, I put Vamp above Smalland, but I would say Smalland is probably going to be a bit more consistent because, like, let's say you're in a game in Vamp 2 where it's like nothing but, like, there's 2 Moskvas and a Petro. Like, that's going to probably suck, whereas, like, at least in the Smalland, you can reach them with Torps more consistently, maybe. But we'll put it up there for now. Lapupu. Where is Lapupu? Lapupu's trash, for sure. Lapupu is absolute trash. It is way better than Laffy. We honestly just legitimately might need our own tier for Laffy. Okay, if I'm being fair to Holland, Holland having god tier anti-air and long range torps that are easy to use and decent. Yeah, if I'm gonna take off my hater cap for a moment, Holland is probably more just mid. Because like, okay, at the end of the day, you shred planes. You do shred planes in Holland. And the torps are decent, and the guns are decent. Really, Holland's major problem is it is a giant pig, and anytime it fights a DD, it takes double the damage that it should, because there's no DD that Holland fights that doesn't hit Holland more consistently than Holland hits back. But, like, it does still have way more game impact. Now, again, in a div, La Pampa's probably, like, more up here. More in the decent to good. Because La Pampa's actually kind of a funny smoke bot in a way. But, yeah, it's... Holland, I think, is better than Delny, at least. Yeah, but is it? But is it, though? I mean, Delny is going to impact... Like, the problem with Holland is it doesn't really impact the game. Like, I think that's mostly its issue, is if you're alone on a flank and you get to spam torps on cooldown, then, like, yeah, it's really good. But outside of that weird situation, it kind of does nothing. Once the CV knows where you are, it's never going to go for you. I'm going to let a little personal bias creep in. Because I hate the boat so much. Let me put it this way, okay? This is the best way I can put how I feel about Holland. I enjoy fighting a Holland on the enemy team more than any other destroyer in the game. And that is actually probably more true than even Laffy and La Pampa. If I am pushing a cap and I know the Holland is there, I literally start rubbing my hands together. So, make of that what you will. Oh, Laffy was already on the list. I'm just blind. So we already have Laffy. Maybe, well, we'll put the nicer looking one up there. There you go. How about that? So have I missed anything? Are there any DDs we're missing? Do 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 do. Man, look at this tier list. This ordering just saved the best for last. It actually saved the best for last, boys. I can hear the choirs playing. Can you hear the choral music? Oh, oh, as all things should be. Alvaro de Bazan might be the best DD in the game. It, honest to God, might be the best DD in the game. The God, Alvaro de Bazan. Burst boys. Burst boys. Why is Alvaro de Bazan arguably the best destroyer in the game? Well, let's look at the destroyers on this tier list. Every single destroyer on the enemy team, do you know what it does when it runs into Alvaro de Bazan? Pick any destroyer on this tier list, and I want the students in the classroom to tell me what happens when they run into an Alvaro and it's a 1v1. What happens, boys, when your Smalland runs into an Alvaro de Bazan? I'll tell you exactly what happens. It takes 3/4 of your boat with a single burst, and then it gets away and you did 5k back to it. And then you heal up, and then you push into the Alvaro de Bazan again, and it takes the rest of your boat, and you do 5k back, and now you're dead. Every DD, aside from the ones with really good healing, like, aside from, like, Ragnar and Hull, and maybe Laffy, basically, and Lucian, pretty much every destroyer in this list has its game completely ruined by a single Alvaro burst. Like, this is not an exaggeration. Like, your game is, if you are in any of these boats with no heal, if you are in a Z42, a Vampire 2, a Gdansk, a Regolo, a Yuyang, a Daring, a Marcus, a Tromp, a Sherman, a Hoffman, a Kleb, a Summers, a Cassard, a Hayate, a Harugumo, an Elbing, a Shima, a Gearing, a Barbiano, a Z. Your game is over because you got bursted once. It's over. It's literally over. Goodbye, game impact. You're cooked. Game's over. Go back to port. Spam your torps from spawn like the little shitter you are, because your game is fucking over. Because one Alvaro burst salvo just took your entire HP pool away. Some of the best torps on any gunboat in the game. Same torps as Regolo. 13.5 km range, 90 reload, 1 kilometer stealth, good flood, decent alpha. What does Alvaro do better than every... Okay, so the question would be, what does Alvaro de Bazan do better than any other DD in the game? Number 1, a sub is in your mouth. Best destroyer in the game. Full stop. No comparison. A sub is trying to grief you. You're in the best DD in the game in Alvaro. You are. Objectively speaking, because if the sub wants to dolphin and spot you, it's going to lose 1/3 of its boat. It's not going to lose 1/10 of its boat like it does to every other destroyer on this list. It's going to lose 1/3 of its boat. You are in an ultralight cruiser. Flat broadside to Alvaro de Bazan. Worse than being broadside to Elbing or Hull. You're dead. Cooked. GG Reds. Back to port. It's the best destroyer in the game against subs. It's the best destroyer in the game against ultralight cruisers. It's the best destroyer in the game at getting immediate permanent fires. It's the best destroyer in the game in short duration disengage fights. And it's like in the top 10 for just long range farming because it's got respectable DPM, good range, and good shell velocity. Now, your average Alvaro de Bazan player is probably down here. Probably down there. Most Alvaro players that I run into would make me think the boat would be here. And actually, that's what I thought of the boat before I bought it. Before I got Alvaro de Bazan, I assumed the boat was ass. I was like, that is the worst boat in the game. Every time I run into it, it just bursts me and like does 2 to 5k per burst, and then it can't shoot me for like 20 seconds, and then I shoot it for like a shit ton of damage. Like, it's actually crazy. It's crazy how bad Alvaro is. Oh, everyone that plays this game just sucks ass. Oh, I forgot about that. Basically, when you play Alvaro de Bazan, you stick your dick out, slam it into the table, and order the enemy team to measure it. Exactly. Exactly, dude. Now, all right. All right, guys. The bias is over. The bias is over. Unfortunately, there are things called carriers in this game. No CV lobby, unironically, literally the best ship in the game. Best destroyer in the game. Like, no hyperbole. If there's no carriers in your game, you are actually the best destroyer probably in the game. But if you are in a carrier game, you're probably like more near the bottom of strong. If we're being fair. So, like, the advantage of a ship like Smalland is that Smalland cares not very much about CV games. Daring and Z don't care a lot about CV games because of their fast smoke. Regolo doesn't care a lot about CV games because of its fuel smoke, right? Hull and Ragnar have really good healing. Sherman has great AA, right? Lucian has great healing. Like, a lot of these boats don't necessarily care as much if there's a carrier in the game. So realistically, like, it is not going to be in the average game as good as Smalland because most CV players enjoy matchmaking monitor, and if you're a good Alvaro player, obviously a CV player knows that you don't have any AA in Alvaro. Please help. There you go. Please help. You run into one of these 5 destroyers in your destroyer. Please send help. Cause like, what do you like? Right, like Regolo's incredibly nasty to fight, but you don't have to fight it. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to think about a lot of these DDs. Like, they're really good, but you can typically avoid them quite easily. Like, there's no way, number one, there's actually no way to avoid these destroyers because Smalland has radar, Z has 0.2 gap between Hydro and Detect, Alvaro goes 45 knots, Vamp 2 has 5.8 Detect and a 5 cam Hydro, Gdansk has a 9 cam radar, right? Like, most of the, like, you can avoid Regolo fairly easily. You can avoid Daring fairly easily. You can avoid Marceau easily. You cannot avoid Radar Yuyang, but you can easily disengage. You can easily open up the range against it, right? You can easily avoid or hunt down Tromp, right? All of these ships are crazy easy to avoid. I think that's part of it too. Like, these ships all have insane farming, right? Smalland, Z, Alvaro, Vamp 2, Gdansk. Crazy good at farming. Crazy good at fisting destroyers. They're good at both. I think that's probably like the big difference. Yuyang's crazy good at finding and catching destroyers, not great at fisting them, right? Regolo's great at fisting them, not great at catching them. Same with Marceau, right? Maybe that's kind of like where I would put the cutoff at. And then, like, how good are they against, how good do they farm and how good do they fight DDs? And they're kind of the best at both, right? Because, like, Regolo might be marginally better at farming big targets than a couple of these. And Tromp might be marginally better at farming big targets than a couple, but they're all like top 10 farmers and basically the best anti-DD ships. Now let's think of Laffy.